Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome back to an episode of what was on sale at the grocery store. And also a method video. Definitely a method video. Today we're going to braise these two little pieces of brisket. When I bought it, it was actually one little piece of brisket. I cut it in half just so it'll fit in the pot. About a week ago, the grocery store had one of those end bunkers filled with full packer briskets. They were like 80 bucks Canadian each. Little too expensive for me. And also, Julie and I don't need a whole packer brisket. We would never eat it. Never eat it all. Well, we would eat it all, but we'd be terribly disappointed by the time we got to the end because there's so much meat there for two people. So I kept walking by and walking by and walking by. Today, I walked by and what they had done was take some of the big briskets and cut them into smaller parts and discounted them deeply. So that's 1.5 kilos of brisket that I got for $6 Canadian, which I think is a deal. And I walked past it and I thought, okay, well, what am I going to do with it? In my mind, there are probably a dozen YouTube channels that are devoted solely, or it seems in my mind, devoted solely to cooking brisket. Week after week after week after week, they're cooking a brisket, smoking a brisket, and trying to perfect it. They're doing a great job. I don't need to go there until I can bring something new to it. And I've got a couple of ideas, but not yet. So I thought, I'm going to braise it. I'm going to braise it in a really flavorful liquid, shred it, and serve it inside tortillas, which I really love. So in this measuring cup, I have some beef stock because I always have beef stock in the house. To that, I'm going to add a can of Hatch chilies because I always have a can of Hatch chilies in the cupboard. Then I'm going to add a can of Rotel, and this is the original Rotel. Okay, so I understand there are a lot of people not from North America who don't know what Rotel is, and I need to do a better job of explaining it. Rotel is a brand of canned tomatoes with chopped chilies in it. Here in Canada, or at least where I live, my little part of Canada, the grocery stores only started carrying this a few years ago. Before that, I'd have to go to the States to buy it. And they only sell the original, which I have here, or a mild version. Last week, I used it in a different recipe. The video went up last week. I used it in a different recipe, and a lot of people started telling me that there's at least 12 different varieties of Rotel available to them where they live in the United States. Use whichever one you get or you like. Everything about this that's going on in this pot is just about flavors that I like and I think or I know go together really well. So I'm not following a recipe. I'm just following my own intuition of what I think is going to work. And I'm kind of holding back on a couple of things a little bit when I get to the spicing here. So this is our homemade taco spice mix. You can find that elsewhere on the channel, but I'll also put it down in the description box. I'm not going to put as much in as I think I need. Mainly because I don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be yet. First time I've done this. So I'm going to be cautious before I get too far. I'm also going to add some salt. And be careful with the salt if you're using a commercially prepared beef stock. They can be quite salty. So you might not need as much salt. And because this is a method, if I hadn't had beef stock, I could have used beer. I could have used white wine. I could have just used water. Could have used chicken stock. There's a whole bunch of other things that I could have used. What you really need is a flavorful liquid. And there's so many ways to get to that end. And black pepper. I'm going to toss all that black pepper in. Okay. Okay, and so that's our braising liquid. And it looks like I've got about 3 cups of liquid here. And that's going to be about right. Okay, and if you don't have Rotel, don't sweat it. Use salsa. That's a 284 milliliter can. So use a similar amount of salsa. I'm sure you've got a salsa in your fridge that you like. Use a can of tomatoes, just straight up tomatoes. That would work well as well. I mean, there's other flavors going on in here because I put in the Hatch chilies and I'm also going to put in chopped up jalapeno. The Rotel isn't really that important. It could just be tomatoes. So, in a Dutch oven, I'm going to take the 2 pieces of brisket and see if I can get them in here in a way that makes sense. There we go. Okay, that makes sense. I've got 2 chopped red onions. I'm using red onions because that's what I had in the fridge. I also had yellow and brown onions in the fridge, so I could have used those as well. I just think the red will look really nice at the end. I've got a chopped jalapeno pepper. You could use any hot pepper that you like. You could use hot banana pepper if that's what you've got. Any pepper. You go to the grocery store, any pepper with a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat. And if you don't like the heat, then just put in a regular pepper. That would be fine too. And if you can't find hot peppers where you live, I picked this up at the grocery store this morning. There was a big pile of them. But if you can't get them, I would have just as easily taken some pickled jalapenos, chopped them up and put them in, because the acid in the pickling liquid of the pickled jalapenos would work really well to bring this all together. At the end, when I taste this, I will probably put in a little bit of vinegar just to bring the whole thing together. Okay, so there's our braising liquid. Put that on top. So I'm pretty sure that that amount of liquid is going to be just fine. I'm going to put a lid on it. This Dutch oven has a really good, solid, sealed fitting lid. Over the 6 hours that it's cooking, I will probably lift the lid once or twice and check the amount of liquid. If I need to add more liquid, I will. And in today's case, it will probably be just a little bit of water because I don't have any more beef stock. I don't have any beer in the house. And I don't have a bottle of white wine open. So it'll probably just be water that I'll use. I also didn't brown anything. The Maillard reaction, which is what people really want when they're browning stuff and, you know, is a complex chemical reaction that requires heat, time, and liquid. And there's also kind of an acid component that's sort of rattling around out here. Not fully understood. What we do understand is that, you know, you put something in a smoking hot pot and you sear the outside, you get a Maillard reaction that happens almost instantly. What we also know is that with enough time and enough liquid, even at a lower heat, 250 degrees Fahrenheit, you will still get that Maillard reaction. So at the end of the 6 hours, we are still going to get the same action as if we fried it or sauteed it ahead of time and browned it ahead of time. So I'm not so worried about browning stuff before I put it in a pot for a long, slow braise, which makes this perfect for a slow cooker or crock pot meal. If you get anything from this show, I'm not interested in teaching you recipes. I'm really not. Anybody can open a cookbook and follow a written recipe. What I want you to do is learn how to cook, learn the interplay between ingredients and methods, and experiment and try things in your own kitchen. I have never put this combination of things in a pot before in my life. And I'm doing it for you, and it's going to be great. So here we go, into the oven. I will see you in 6 hours when Julie gets home from work. Okay, here we are 6 hours later, and that's looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to pull the pieces of brisket out so I can shred them up. And I also want to get rid of the bit of fat on the top here. I don't want too much fat in it. Although there wasn't much. This was pretty well trimmed. So I'm going to get rid of the fat. In here, I've got the tomato mixture and the onions and the hot peppers, and they've all kind of come down to this fantastic looking mixture. There's a lot of liquid in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shred this beef up. I'm going to move the onions over, and then I'll probably put the liquid that's left on the stovetop and boil it down to concentrate it a little bit, just to make sort of a thicker sauce.
Hello, friends.
Hey, Jules.
Hello, Glenn. Yay!
So,
We get to the mystery dish in the giant red. And it
a tortilla.
involves tortillas, my favorite. I'm not even asking. It's like, let me just fill my plate.
Toronto East Side brisket tacos, East 6 brisket tacos. I don't know. Something. I got up this morning and I just dumped a bunch of stuff in a pot that I know that both of us like.
Okay.
And there we go.
All right, so we got some brisket.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to taste some brisket before I even get started. Ooh, that's too much.
Here, that one's mine.
Oh.
And an array of toppings. I'll put some cabbage on there.
That's pretty good.
Some cabbage, some radish, things that I like on this. A little bit of salsa.
I like cabbage.
My problem is I put too much stuff on.
Whoa.
Spill. This, and I
Your cowboy candy?
yeah, I cringe at the name, but there we go. It's really good.
I had it on burgers the other night. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and some avocado, because, you know, avocado,
I always like avocado.
lime.
Trying to decide if I want cowboy candy. I'm running out of space here. There we go. The radish is an interesting mix because it's a brisket, so I can see how the radish would go with it. Just not a... Oh, that's going to be a mess. There's no graceful way to do this. Nobody look. Look away.
So because this was the first time I had thrown everything in the pot, this combination of things in the pot, I went a little light on the spicing.
Could use a little more spicy, but you know, you add in the extras and it's pretty good.
Yeah, in like on a tortilla, it's great. The jalapenos, the cowboy candy, the candied jalapenos make a great addition. But I would probably double up the spice.
Oh, no.
And I only put one chopped jalapeno in. I would probably put 2 chopped jalapenos in next time. But err on the side of caution the first time you do stuff.
Version 1's pretty good, though. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing to complain about. That's the thing, right? I mean, as much as there are ways we could make it better, there's nothing to complain about. It's really good. A little bit wet.
A little bit. What was it? I was in a Zoom meeting. And I gave 2 thumbs up. And all of a sudden my background faded away and there were fireworks in the background. I thought that was really crazy. It doesn't happen on YouTube. Although, let's try this. Subscribe. Did the subscribe button light up and go like this? The YouTube AI now figures out when you say words like subscribe, join, thumbs up, and it makes the little glowy rings around them after you say those words. That's crazy. Terrifying.
It's listening.
This is really good. So don't be afraid to just step into the kitchen, know a method. In this case, the method was braising. Know a bunch of ingredients that you like. Follow some basic principles of braising, which is a little bit of liquid and some flavor, and away you go.
It was great. I pretty much just sat here and ate this. Thank you for watching me ungracefully eat this snack.
Don't be afraid. And I know that there's traditions. Make your own traditions. Making new traditions is what has moved cuisine forward everywhere on the planet for millennia. Someone taking a chance, doing something new, trying something different. Tradition is great, but make your own traditions. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.